Hello, beautiful souls out there. It's such a special occasion for me to be here with my soul brother, Felix. I met him in this life in a retreat that I gave, which was called Maria Magdalena and Yeshua, the manuscript of Magdalene. And the content of this retreat was to get in contact with the tantric Egypt techniques to use sexual energy and transmit it into the light body, into the higher chakras. And it's very special to me that Felix is here today because I feel that we have a very lightful soul connection out of the other realms, like two angels coming to the earth and give their service. And Felix is a very, very special person with a lot of experience, various experience. He was a monk for 22 years. Then he was married for I don't know how many years, but he was married twice and has one child. And then he went out and, yeah, looked for his freedom in kind of a sexual sect and polyamorous circles. And now he's kind of balancing back into his, yeah, I don't know, into center and says, okay, to be honest, I want to be in a love relationship which is monogamous and deep and profound. And the topic of today is how do we bring together spirituality and sexuality? Hello, Felix. Beautiful to have you here, my dear soul brother.
Hello, Nina. It's so wonderful to be here with you. Just your introduction touched me already because yes, we are here to serve, to love, yeah, to find out what our calling is. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm glad to be here. I,
Yes. So, Felix, I want to ask you some questions about the wiseness that you gained. Many people want to be spiritual, but somehow they have those conflicts with their sexuality, especially monks. I just want to place kind of a funny, very interesting story here about a monk that was talking to me. I told you about that in Facebook, and he was from Sri Lanka, and he was really longing to have a love relationship with me. And I was kind of confused. I said, but you're a monk. I don't know. I don't understand that. And he said, yes, I'm a monk, but everyone in our temple has girlfriends. And, it will be the best choice for you to be with a monk because we make love so heart-centered and we are connected totally to the divine. But it kind of has to be secret. But he was really like flowery. He was really talking flowery and really innocent. He went into his monastery when he was about 11 and it was his own choice. And he said it's not really easy to step out of the monastery and he loves to be spiritual. So they kind of make it secretly. Wow, and I found this very interesting. And I was kind of confused and said, I can't really imagine to have a love relationship with a monk, but this is a very beautiful offer. Yeah, and so this was, I think, Hinduism, I guess. And you have been in a monastery for 22 years in a Christian Catholic monastery, right?
yes, that's right.
So yeah, tell me a little bit about sexuality in the between the monks or with yourself. I just want to mention that I'm very, very grateful that you open up here with this topic and heal and help so many people, especially men, because men from the biology have a huge sex drive. It's natural that you kind of want to make babies every day. It's like this is your biology because I feel my biology, especially um, inflaming while I'm ovulating. Yeah. So when I'm by myself and I don't have a partner, ooh, when I'm ovulating, I'm like, hey, hey, yeah. So I really feel that. And there's so much guilt, shame, and fear about the topic sexuality, not only for ex-monks. So tell me a little bit about that, please.
Well, maybe I can start even when I was younger. I mean, it's interesting that I was introduced to masturbating when I was only about 7 or 8,
From
by other
whom?
boys. Huh? Yeah, just by other boys.
Okay.
And so I found out how beautiful that feels.
Hmm.
But naturally, with the formation education, there's a lot of guilt, and then we had to do this naturally in a hidden way, yeah. And so I always felt this very strong drive. I mean, this, yeah, as you say, as women. But at the same time, I also felt a very drawn to God in a way, no?
Hmm.
To the spiritual. And so that's also why then when I got to know this religious congregation, I felt drawn to it because I had the impression this is a way where I can give my life to God and to serve God by loving others. And but the problem then I found out, especially in a Catholic environment, you probably know how strict the Catholic faith, especially the Roman Catholic,
Hmm.
is about sexuality. That, for example, you can only have sex with your partner if you want to procreate,
Hmm.
to have a child. You cannot. It's not to have fun is not part of it. And masturbation naturally is also not is a sin, and so there's a lot of guilt put on this. And so when I
Yes.
was in this congregation, this was the same thing. I mean, all what had to do with sex or was they called that like base. It's not spiritual. It's not God. And so I had to renounce on that, and I even had to make the vow of celibacy. I mean, of not having sex. But on the other hand, then I found out that among the community where I lived, other men, I they had this need too, and so my first sexual experience was with other men,
Of course.
and
What can
and
you do, huh?
yeah, sure, and I liked it to some extent. I found out yes, but at the same time, I also had the impression no, I would rather be drawn to a woman if I had a
Mhm.
choice. But naturally, in this environment, this was the way out, let's say, right? But
Yeah.
I also experienced then other men who were attracted to me, and they kind of forced me to have sex. So that was not so beautiful. That can also happen in communities, right? That you are like, so I don't know what to say, but it helped me to understand that it's such a strong energy that somehow it has to be lived. I'm
Yes.
not sure. Maybe there are some monks who can live this totally without having expressing their sexuality, that they're so spiritual or so enlightened. But I have rarely seen anybody like that. And
The
so,
interesting thing about that, um, when I read the autobiography of a yogi, of Paramahansa Yogananda, he was not mentioning sexuality one time. And I really thought, wow, is he kind of androgen that he doesn't really need that? Or he is so high in the higher chakras, so he's not interested, he's only interested in the Divine Mother. And then I read a lot of other books, and one time he was a monk as well, a Swami, and he mentioned that the sexual energy is the most potent life force that you need to use and to canalize in the higher chakras. And I said, yes, thank you, because this is kind of a savior for especially the men, for the monks, please. Yes, he is not tabooing this. And this is kind of wow, a relief for me as a woman, for all the collective monks on the world that please, other monks, please talk about it. You don't have to have sex with others, but please mention it, mention the issue, and show kind of tantric techniques to the monks, how to use it, how to canalize the sexual energy in a tantric way. For example, without shame and guilt.
Mhm.
Yes.
But wouldn't it be beautiful? I mean, I once read that when, like in certain cultures, like in the Greek culture, maybe even in Egypt, that there were special temples where mature women would help young men to introduce them into this beautiful power of sexuality, right? And so that nowadays we have pornos, we have a lot of other things, but you know, to see sexuality as something sacred. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I feel like that is also in a way like missing, you know, that we as men, we don't really we don't realize what this potential is, as you say, where you can really reach this divine, opening this divine channel and reach that together in a sacred union. But we are not initiated anymore into something like that. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that's missing, I feel. Well, now you're talking about tantric things, but also there it depends where you
Oh,
go.
yes.
Sometimes they're like swinger clubs, or I don't know, but to find the way that really helps you to reach the divine, I'm not sure where to look for that.
Exactly. I mean, I know the majority of the boys, they meet each other and masturbating together on a cookie. And after 3 years, maybe if you're lucky, gonna see they're gonna watch their first porn. And that's basically it. This is how they approach the women and or the little girls. And my mother, because of this reason, because she knew that there is no sacred initiation for the boys, she was telling me you have to be very cautious. Only sleep with a man who really you feel that he's really deeply interested from the heart. Yeah. And I know that this still exists. For example, I have a friend in Africa. He was giving men retreats in sacred sexuality, and he was as well initiated of a woman like this. And I have as well from past life, I have memories that I did the same, actually.
Mm.
I did this in the temples, and I as well sexually guided women during birth. And we didn't have this judgment on sexuality. Oh, okay, this is a sexual touch, and this is not a sexual touch. We just help the woman to come into an ecstatic space. Yeah. So she doesn't have pain or stress, because when she has pain or stress, maybe she's having risk in birth. So this was for her own security. So we didn't judge it at all as a kind of a prostitute act. And and this is really the big misunderstanding of Mary Magdalene and her sisters. Yes, exactly. The that there's only existing prostitution, that a woman is, yeah, I don't know, maybe giving a sexual act, but without her heart, only to satisfy the needs, the physical needs of a boy, for example. But this is not true. This is not true. I brought my father when he was very sick with Parkinson. I brought him to prostitutes. Yes, I brought him because he had a big sex drive. And I told him, I understand, yes, because he had to take medicine as well, which produced a lot of sex drive. And I brought him there. And you can't believe how beautiful prostitutes I met. Women that were, I almost have to cry because it really touched me because he had diapers, really. He had diapers and nothing was really working anymore. And they treated him like angel nurses, basically.
Yeah.
This was really, really touching. And what we think about prostitutes is just those high heels, I don't know, and leather and I don't know, just cold in encounters, but it's actually not true.
Or
Everything exists.
maybe you know Ilan Stefani, who
Hmm.
wrote about that because she purposely uh, chose to go into this role like a prostitute and wanted to experience that as a very mature and
Yes,
intelligent woman.
very
And she was
intelligent.
writing how these men were opening to her, opening their hearts, their souls, that
Yes.
maybe with their wives or with others they could not. So I completely understand that this is in a way a sacred role. Sure,
Hmm.
maybe you pay for it, but still it's a realm which I feel is so important not to demonize it, or to yeah.
Hmm. Exactly. Um, and tell me little bit more. I mean, if you really give this promise to God, I'm gonna dedicate my life to God. What made you say I step out of here? Was this the sexual part?
And not only also be maybe because I also well, during those years in the monastery often was attracted to beautiful women.
Hmm.
I'm sure. I mean, I felt this strong drive also from my end, although I never completed like an intimate act or so because it never happened.
Yes.
Like the first time I had real sex with a woman was at 46, which is really late. So in a
Wow.
way, yeah.
Hmm.
Um, no, it was not only that. It was like I felt I was not living my own life. I was, yes, I was giving my life to God, but for a beautiful idea, if you want to say so. But I was in a cage. You know,
Hmm.
there were so many rules. There were so many things I had to do, and I felt I was not living according to my own heart. I was not living my own vocation, as a man, as Felix. I was in
Yes.
a beautiful system, maybe, but it's like similar to a church, where there's so many rules. There's an institution, there's a hierarchy, you don't know what's happening with the money, uh,
Hmm.
kind of things. So I felt, yeah, I needed to find my own way, and it was hard after more than 20 years to get out. I had to just disappear in a one night action,
Really? You disappeared?
not to be found anymore. Yeah, I
Wow.
because I knew if you want to get out of such a um,
Wow.
system, if you ask for it, they call you and they try to brainwash you back into the
Yes,
system.
true.
And since I knew that, I had to just disappear.
So you just broke out of the prison, kind of.
That's right.
Wow. So I can really relate on what you say because it was the same for me. I was as well in church, but I didn't have this ecstatic connection with God. I just loved the stories about Jesus, how he healed with the hands and everything. And with 30, when I was 30, 14 years ago, I stepped out of the church. And I don't want to tell the people they shouldn't be in church, not at all. It was just my church didn't give me this feeling. Everyone is different. I just want to say that really, I think in America, especially, that so beautiful churches where you can really be ecstatic, like gospel singing, wow, like living your life force, and I don't know. And I just had to sit there and quiet, and I'm not a quiet person. I love to party. I love rock and roll.
Me
I
too.
love life. I love sex.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yes.
And so when I stepped out of the church, I really, cut the contract and everything. It was the first time I had a heart encounter with Jesus. And I had a heart orgasm, or an orgasm in my whole system. I was just kind of having a breakdown because the amount of love that he brought into my system I was not able to hold this amount of love. So I thought, wow, this is God. Okay, okay, now I got it. Because before it was like, okay, be nice and sit here and I don't know, and read this, and there's so boring songs that you have to sing in German, and it's almost kind of dead there. Oh God. So this is where I found my own path. And I don't know. I don't know what the people think about when I say we met at a retreat of Maria Magdalene and Yeshua, how they make tantric love and produce with the sexual energy um, like a nourishment for the light body. Maybe the people are shocked because what Jesus and sexuality, this is not possible, this is not true, and how can you talk like this? So maybe in this spiritual radio the people are not like this, but possibly. So I don't want to say this is true, but I feel it's my truth. It's my truth that God, or the Son of God, would never judge the life force that he had as well in his lingam, in his penis.
Exactly.
Why should he?
And that's what I experienced when I was with you at that seminar. About those days we were together, and you activated that force in each one of us, and it was I never had experienced anything like it, you know. And that's just recently. I was in Egypt, and like what was an initiation into the Isis path. And I can tell you, it's the first time when we had a lot of time in ourselves because it was a silent retreat. And at some moment, I felt so loved by God that I started to cry.
Hmm.
And it had never happened to me in all my spiritual life in a monastery before. No,
Wow.
I thought I was close to God. I was doing things for God. I was praying. Yeah, I went to mass. I was praying the rosary. I had
Yes.
meditation and everything, but I never had experienced that closeness to God before. And there,
Because you had the closest to yourself, right?
right,
To
exactly,
yourself. It was pure self-love and pure self-acceptance, that
right.
everything of your whole essence and being is allowed to vibrate, huh?
And one of the tasks was to at least 2 hours a day to make self-love. Can you imagine?
Mm.
And in the end, you marry yourself. You marry your own female part, let's say. So you're not needy in the outside anymore because you're already complete in yourself. And that's what,
Yeah. So this is the twin flame path as well. Yeah. You have in the twin flame path in the last month, I was talking about the twin flame path, that path is really to give all the love that you long to get from the person outside, from your soulmate. With a soulmate, it works. They're going to give
yeah,
you everything what you don't have inside. They give it to you, but the twin flame won't give it to you until you gave it to yourself. And this is so tricky. And this is as well my path to sit with myself, or to lie with myself down and really connect to myself in self love, And most of the time, it starts with non-sexual attention, just loving attention with myself, just holding my face, like this, for example,
Mhm.
caressing my hair, perceiving my breath. So this is what I want to talk, that this is tantric for me, because we can talk about tantra and it's not sexual at all. This is like a tiny part. It's the presence in the body,
Yeah.
allowing us to be fully 100% incarnated. And I really bow to Yogananda, but he said, don't fall for the illusion of the senses to be sensual. And I have to disagree with that, because sensuality is bringing me in the now, is bringing me to feel myself.
Yeah.
It's much more easier for me to be with myself, to say, okay, I'm here, I'm present, while love making. This is one part why I love to make love. It's really not about genitals at all. It's about thank you that I have a space where I am present. This is actually the longing to be present. And sexuality, which is not elevated, is full of thoughts. Oh, am I sexy? Do I look good? Or do I do it right? Do I do it wrong? Or I need to do something to in order to be accepted or loved? Or does he want it like this? So the longing aim is to get into a space where you are one with your lover without any thoughts, and then you come and you lose the feeling for your body, and you are united with the universe, which is happening in meditation as well. When you sit down in meditation, when you are lucky, you come to the point where you don't feel your body anymore. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but for me, it's so much freer and wilder, and so much more permission.
Exactly. And also for me as a man and doing those moments, as you were saying, I felt my whole body. I would not even start with the penis, which usually used when you masturbate, you go right there, and try to. But I was taking so much time just to explore
Hmm.
my body and and becoming so sensitive to parts I never thought I would be sensitive before. And
Hmm.
so it was a complete experience.
So
And
you
I,
mean the self-love ritual, because
yeah,
the natural movement of the man is first to dedicate to the fire in the penis. And then when this is activated, the heart is going to be activated.
mhm,
So
yeah,
this is so interesting what a man says about this. Like, wow, what you mentioned now is actually what women long to, like
mhm,
a foreplay that is really totally maybe out of sexual vibes,
mhm, yeah,
or not having the aim to be sexual, and maybe it can be sexual or not, just in
yeah,
a muse, like in a muse way, in a poetic way, to touch someone and just perceive it on the hand, for example.
mhm,
Yeah. The aimlessness. So you as a man, when you touch yourself with aimlessness, yeah, is this a word in English?
yeah, 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 I think so. Yeah.
What is happening then?
Well, I think you feel like you're part of a bigger whole. You're part of a universe of love. Maybe you could
Wow.
say it like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then you also can connect with others on that level, you see.
Hmm.
And that's beautiful because, as you say, you're not goal oriented. You're not going towards orgasm or
Hmm.
whatever. You just are. And actually, it just reminded me now as you were talking that I once was a night with a woman sitting in a car, and we were not talking, but our hands made love the whole night long.
Hmm.
And that
Ah.
I never had.
I love that. This is
But,
so romantic, and this reminds me on my pureness. I was really connecting with boys already in the age of 11. So, and my mother never talked to me about sexuality because I think she would never thought that I already start with 11, yeah. So it was never a topic.
Premature, premature.
But the good thing about it is that I remember as well this totally innocent approach to my own sexual being or sensual being, like let's say, which was not at all like, wow, I need to penetrate or something. It was really this holding hand and touching and perceiving, and it was kind of a heart meditation for me. Just a beautiful heart meditation to touch someone, discover every part of the body and perceive this in my hands or to be touched. And the beautiful thing was that I had this sacred barrier of not non-touchable. Like really, they knew that I'm too young to be penetrated, so it was just not a topic. So this made it so sacred. And yeah, I had when I was like getting older, I had so many times I had this issue that the man had so much fire and that I was already like he infected me with his fire. Yes. And then he thought, "Oh, she's on fire as well." But actually my soul didn't want that.
Mhm.
This is very interesting. I get kind of, I'm very empathic, so I absorb the fire energy of the man, but actually the longing of my soul is something different.
Mhm. Mhm.
It really to lose the time in lovemaking and not have to have a fiery short thing with,
Yeah.
of course, not orgasm orientated. So I'm pretty interested to understand more about, okay, you were married twice, and then you entered in kind of a, how you called it, sex sect.
Mhm.
So this is an interesting part. So you had this normal kind of boring monogamous thing going on in two
So
matrimonio. Now I'm in the Spanish mood, let's say. Yeah.
marriages, yeah.
Yeah, marriage, thank you. Um, what did you long? Did you long about sexuality after breaking out of your marriage?
Well, the problem in the marriages was first of all was always most of the times was jealousy,
Oh,
that I
okay.
did not have other relationships. In one of them, I even had to cut with my own family. I had to be there
Oh.
for this one wife and children, right? So
Mm-hmm.
everything else was a threat, So maybe I
Mm-hmm.
was burnt by that. And well, the idea with this sex sect was actually very beautiful because the founder, a man, he promoted the fact that it is the woman who is holding the space for the man,
Ooh, like a
and
matriarchate, like kind of this.
and it is the woman who makes the penis of the man erect
Mm-hmm.
if she is in her power.
Mm-hmm.
She wants that. So And then the role of the man would just to be to serve the woman to get into her in her fire. And they would have sexual encounters for 12 hours, 24 hours, the longest time you can imagine. Without
Wow.
So that was the basic idea. But what the problem was then in the end, what I found out, this man, he had a beautiful idea and wrote a big book about it.
Uh-huh.
But in the end, he was, I think, so much centered on himself and this
Hmm.
beautiful idea. He had three women at the same time making love to him and with each other, whatever. Beautiful for a man, naturally. But I think he was very narcissistic. In the end, only what he thought was the right thing. He did
Hmm.
not, we could not accept any criticism. So that then in the end made it very clear for me. Maybe the idea behind might be very beautiful, but he kind of, to my understanding, he was abusing these women for his
Hmm.
own end.
So your
So,
longing was to really explore other types of relationships,
yeah.
hmm, out of the jealousy of the possession. You were like, oh, I can't have this. This is not right for me. This fear-based
Yeah.
love relationships. Okay, I can understand this. I was in the illusion of polyamory for some years. I thought, oh, maybe you should be polyamorous because actually I didn't have a self-worth. Yeah,
Mhm.
so there was like untruthfulness from my boyfriend, and because I loved him so much, I didn't love myself though. I didn't know what love is. Um, I really thought, I am in love and I will never leave him, and yeah, and this romantic loyal thing, and I really felt found that I'm not loyal to myself. So I really thought, okay, maybe I need to be polyamorous, not to feel the pain, like to be super allowing. Oh, yes, it's okay. You can be with others, but only with the fear, okay, because I don't have self-worth, he won't stay with me. He won't stay
Mhm.
anyway with me because he wants to fuck other women.
Okay. All right. You're allowed
Yes.
to do that.
Yes, and I really needed to understand that this was a big wound. I thought, okay, I need to stay with polyamorous men because I'm not worth it. I'm not a queen that he will adore. He's just men are there to, yeah, just to do basically what they want. It doesn't matter how the woman feels.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, I needed to come back to, yes, I want to be monogamous. Yes. And when you are on the twin flame process again, many people don't want to be monogamous because they know the soul partner relationships that you meet. You have the honeymoon phase, and oh, everything is beautiful, maybe the first years. And then you're like, oh, I'm bored. He's only a teddy bear myself. I don't, on my side, I don't have any longing to be sexual with him or her anymore. And with a twin flame, you maybe have the honeymoon phase, and then the huge trigger of the inner child comes, or even from past lives that you have to solve. And then the real love can come, and then you will really have the best. I don't want to say sex, I want to say love making with your ultimate lover, kind of. Yeah. So this is the other way around. And that's why people want to be not monogamous because they know this the soul relationships, kind of the soul partner relationships.
Okay.
So this is the interesting part as well, about polyamory and monogamy. So what gives you the development in yourself that you say, wow, I think I'm not polyamorous. I don't want to be with many women anymore. I wanted to discover that, maybe to really get the whole flavor of what you need to suppress so long, which is so understandable. And I celebrate you for that. What a courageous man. Yeah, what a courageous man to really step out of this and really live his soul path. And I really adore that. And my question now is what brings you to the point that you say, actually, my heart is longing for a monogamous relationship.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I had this, let's say about when I got divorced, it was like 12, 13 years I was in this path, with many different women, sometimes, yeah, with simultaneous, but or maybe just serial. And I realized that oftentimes I would enter intimacy, but I was not giving my heart. I was
Hmm.
not giving my whole emotions. And maybe sometimes would even like be hard on women because I felt I had been hurt by women, like in these marriages. I even had experienced, the physical attacks by women, which is hard for a man to accept. A weak man. How can a woman beat a man? I mean, it takes a lot.
So you were
So
beaten by a woman?
yeah, I had
Okay, so
häusliche
you,
Gewalt. I don't know how you call that in English. It's abuse. I mean,
of course, abuse. Yeah, this is a topic that I thank you for mentioning this again, because you mentioned that you were abused, sexually abused of other men, which is very courageous to mention, and that you because this is the real strength of a divine masculine. And
mm,
I'm getting tears in my eyes because this is the truth for me that divine masculine talks about this. This is actually very strong of you to say, yes, I was beaten up by a woman. And as a man, you don't want to beat back. Yeah. So, and there are violent women. Yes. And they say, because I'm a woman, I can beat him up because I'm only jealous. And this is kind of what I can do because I'm a woman. But what makes this with your heart that you closed up for women in the future and you closed up your heart and you only had not only but most of the time had sex only with the second chakra and not integrating the heart chakra.
I was almost punishing these women, because they had
Hmm.
been hurt by women. So I would then at a certain point, I would just finish the relationship with almost no reason, finding an excuse.
Hmm.
So I was, I was not ready to go really deep.
Yeah.
And now I feel I'm at a point where I can go deep. I can open my heart.
Hmm.
I don't have to be punishing a woman. I can see her goddess. I can see the beauty, and I can yeah, I can just be there in my presence. And yeah,
So what do you think made this change in you? Why can you see a woman now as a goddess and not punishing her, kind of the woman herself, huh? Like the collective of the woman.
maybe it was because I don't know. There was a beautiful woman I had well maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and by the way, that was the first woman who ever came up to me and asked me, "I want to make love to you." That had never
Mm,
happened to me. And oftentimes I also think that it's kind of a taboo. If a woman really would like to be with a man, she often does not say it really.
true.
And I think
Hmm.
that also a woman can be in her lust. Why not? And she can say that. And so this one woman, for some reason, I loved her very much, and then she ended the relationship. And that was the first time it happened to me. That,
Mm,
that I
hmm.
ended it, but the woman ended. And I realized that she had a reason, and her reason was that I was polyamorous. I mean, I had this tendency of being with many women, and
Yes.
I could not commit myself. And this was kind of for me was like an eye opener. I said, no, if that's the point, you know, I need to focus on just one love, you know.
Hmm.
And in this sense, yeah, monogamy and going deep, committing myself, being ready to commit myself, also going through hard times maybe. But this commitment was lacking, and so this kind of helped me to find this, yeah. And I'm thankful for this woman. I just met her 2 weeks ago again. we,
Wow,
we,
really?
we stayed friends, and that's beautiful, you know.
Yes, this is a form of love as well, to
Yeah,
stay friends. And but she was in her self-worth. She said,
yeah,
"Okay, I want to be monogamous, and I
yeah,
can't have this."
yeah,
Uh-huh. All
completely.
right. So I would say, for example, Jesus. I had some meditation where Jesus was healing me in a sexual way as well.
Mhm,
And when this first happened to me, I was like, whoa, why does he approach me? It was like, so there was this as well, like, okay, maybe he had this twin flame connection with Maria Magdalene, but why does he do this with me? And I felt he wanted to trigger my wounds, my sexual wounds,
mm,
just simply for healing. So again, I understood, wow, this is really a healer, and he is including sexuality in
mm,
the he gives me visualizations. He's provoking
mhm,
things that will trigger me in
mhm,
order to feel my pain. So again, I felt, okay, he doesn't make a difference between sexuality, non-sexual, and sexual healing
mm.
because
Yeah,
it's just not an issue in the divine world.
yeah,
Yeah, so to come back to the yeah, to the topic of this show, like how to integrate spirituality and sexuality is basically not judging it, just perceiving the feelings about it. Like when you are stroked on the arm, it can be sexual or it can be sensual or it can be neutral. So, who's going to tell me when someone is touching me on the arm?
mhm,
Maybe I feel it's an abuse, and people say, ah, but he just touched you on the arm.
mm.
Yeah. So, what is sexual? What is sensual? What is neutral? It's all our perception as well.
Yeah, and I think we are cutting the sexuality from the spirituality. We're not connecting them. That's the problem, you know. Also, where I was in this monastery, sex was bad. Everything they called it, you're too human, you know. You're too human if you're thinking about sex and material things. You should be more spiritual. And I think many people, even in this tantric worlds, and then that they are way up in heaven, you know, have beautiful meditations, but they are not connected with the earth, with
Yes.
sexual energy. And I think that's what we need to reconnect. Religion means that, no, to
Verbindung, yeah, connection.
connect again, and
Yes.
we tend to make that two different worlds, but in
Hmm.
for me they're one. I mean, if I can have a sacred union and experience God in a sexual union, it's the most beautiful thing that can happen to me, right?
Yes, and we are flesh. We are just now flesh.
Mhm.
And to say that flesh isn't good, it's like a self-hatred, kind of an act of a self-hatred, no?
We were created by God as flesh, so
Exactly. And there's a kind of a reason that I'm in this incarnation now.
mm,
Yeah. But as well, there is a kind of a mature sexuality, and there is kind of a sexuality that we can live that is not mature. For example, when we mix up with whoever. There are
mm,
many tantric people who call themselves spiritual, but actually making out with everyone and feeling so free and I don't know, maybe they feel totally open chakras everywhere, but actually they're polluting their energy systems.
Yeah,
So I think sexual hygiene, I don't talk about condoms, I talk about energetic hygiene is really self-love because of course we are connecting with the energy body of the person that we have the sexual encounter.
yeah,
And it is even possible that we absorb their traumas and everything. Yeah.
mhm,
So I would say as well, sacred sexuality to connect spirituality, which is I am aware that we are energetic beings, that we have energetic bodies, the mental body, the emotional body. And when we come together, and we open up because we already have our spiritual beings. We are bored of this only animalistic sex, yeah, or porn sex. We are bored of this. So we try to totally open up our whole heart and soul. And then, okay, who's that who I'm in bed with? Yeah, maybe he had a beautiful smile and I don't know. But what kind of energy body has he or she? Phew, so this is really taking care of us. Like what food do we eat? Do we eat McDonald's or anything? It's the same with sexual partners. I would say this is as well to put awareness. And I think many people have as exactly this. For example, my father as well, who was hypersexual when he was very old. Why? Because my grandmother told him, you're going to get cancer in the back, kind of like very
okay,
interesting stories. Back cancer. I didn't know that this is possible
okay,
when you are masturbating. So she didn't even mention masturbating, that he needs to have his little hands always on the blanket. You need
okay.
to have your hands on the blanket. And if you put them down, you're going to have cancer in your back.
So you're
Oh my
gonna,
God, poor thing, you know? So he was totally over sexualized and wanted to masturbate and when he was old. And I talk as well for my father now because I really felt it's a sacred way from me as a daughter to really say, it's okay, Dad. You are a divine being. Your sexual energy is fine. It's good that you have it. Yeah. So I supported him in this. And I thought this is a really pretty courageous act of love and brought me to my boundaries as well. It was not easy. Yeah.
yeah, mm.
Anyway, is there some last words you want to add? What would you, if you opened up a monastery right now, if you would be like the boss of a monastery, the priest, I don't know whom. Would
Yeah,
you would you would you integrate sexuality? Would you say it's allowed? It's allowed, or how is it allowed? Or I don't know what and what kind of orientation would you give to the monks?
yeah, I would definitely say, definitely this would have to have a very specific place and not hidden, like the one monk you were mentioning.
Mm,
Why would you not be open with that, you know? But naturally, if I were the abbot of a monastery, I would be very careful telling the monks that if you get into a relationship with a woman, make sure that you are not in your ego. And make
mhm,
sure that you are really uh, in that sacred energy, you know, that you're adoring the divine energy in that woman you have in front of you. And beware that you're adoring God, that you're actually serving God in that act. And yeah, I think it's a very high ideal maybe, and how to go about it, I don't know. It would have been then a mixed monastery with monks and nuns. I don't know, and how they would get together, no idea. If there would be some kind of polyamory, I don't know, or if there would be like couples, I don't know. no idea, but it would
Yeah,
be an interesting experiment.
very interesting. Very interesting. Oh, thank you so much for this beautiful encounter and your openness. And I hope it will bring a lot of healing to especially men that were listening today. And so much love to you. And I bow to your path.
Well, thank you for what you're opening up for, yeah, also for us men and for many other people who to understand that if we want to reach God, it can be also through our sexual nature, through
Mhm.
our exactly.
Through allowance of everything that we are.
Right. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you
I
from
love
my
you.
heart. Thank you, beautiful listeners.
Yeah.
Talk to you soon.